Today, Australia is plain stupid as gas prices roar. Hello again, it's Martin North from Digital Finance Analytics, web latest post covering finance and property news. Today I want to revisit one of Australia's most stupid policies, which are in turn driving manufacturing offshore and hitting households and businesses with higher costs and forcing the government to spend taxpayer funds on energy subsidies for households to try and keep inflation down. As I discussed in my recent post, the gas problem that will crush Australia, which, by the way, was my most watched show of the year so far. And thanks to all those who watched, liked, and subscribed. We are in the unspeakable position where Australia, who owns huge, though dwindling, natural gas supplies, has allowed large multinational corporations to extract massive amounts of gas from the reserve and then transform this resource into LNG, liquefied natural gas, which is natural gas that has been cooled down to liquid form to allow ease and safe non-pressurized storage or transport. The Australian Institute showed that more gas is used for conversions than for household use in Australia, and 82% of the gas produced is used for exports. So, what they then do is to export this gas from Australia in massive ships to China, Japan, and other countries, receiving international prices for the gas, which is around 5 or 6 times higher than the pure cost of production. And the profit and tax don't seem to filter back into Australia. Meantime, other than on the west coast, where Western Australia does reserve some gas for domestic use, in the eastern states, households and businesses have to pay higher prices, which flow onto the marginal costs of electricity, putting Australia in the position of paying higher electricity prices than most, despite the gas coming from Australia in the first place. And to add insult to injury, even during the summer when demand is lower, the pipelines between Queensland and the southern states are not being used at full capacity to pipe gas south to reserves locally, while players are now building import terminals to repatriate gas into the country at top dollar. The moment this gas filters into the local network, it will become the marginal price setter for all local gas supply, and prices are likely to double at today's Asian prices. And if this were to play out as expected, then you could expect the Australian CPI could be up around 4% before you know it, unless offset by billions more in rebates, just as the budget comes under intensifying pressure from the looming iron ore price rout, which is coming down the pipes. So we are exposed to the international gas price, which will be equivalent to Saudi Arabia paying international oil prices at home, which of course they do not. Fuel there is dirt cheap. So this is a massive mess created by many years of bad policy across both shades of government. It shows the power of big gas to call the shots, of politicians not thinking strategically and spooking us with vague sovereign risk issues if we were to seek to renegotiate those existing gas contracts and impose a real domestic reservation and export levies, which they could and should. Now, looking ahead, the rumoured increasing supply of LNG globally looks to be overdone. Much of it has already been delayed, and it probably will be again. ANZ just published a report on this, which makes horrifying reading. The global gas market showed tentative signs of recovery last year, they wrote, following recent supply-side shocks. However, the market remains finely balanced. We see a few key issues dictating the market for 2025. Geopolitical issues are likely to dominate global gas markets this year, particularly Russia's role as a gas and LNG supplier. New US sanctions on Russian energy industry are likely to have a significant impact. Europe is at the same time becoming more reliant on the global LNG market, pitting it against hungry Asian buyers. And renewable power, particularly wind, is increasingly interlinked with gas because periods of low wind power generation have resulted in surges in demand for gas. And wind increasing in variability is forcing many countries to build up gas stocks to ensure supply to meet power demand when the wind fails. So they expect another year of supply-side issues in the LNG market. Their base case for 2025 based on new projects mostly in North America coming online, is for a supply growth of around 4%, but that target could easily be missed with a tight US market creating bottlenecks for feed gas to these new projects. So overall, they say, we see ongoing upward pressure on global gas prices this year. So, riddle me this. Why are countries with no gas busy building up stockpiles to cope with renewable intermittency, when a country like Australia that is swimming in gas is exporting it all to China and other places while building up zero inventory to cope with its own seasonal fluctuations? It's utter madness, with Australian households and businesses paying the price. But when will somebody step up and start taking a stand against this? It's worth noting, of course, that Trump, having come into power, is beginning to rewrite some of the rules. Well, maybe Australian politicians should be prepared to rewrite some of these gas rules, because at the moment it's a mess, an utter mess, and an absolute disgrace. I'm Martin North from Digital Finance Analytics. Many thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.